Hi everyone, hope this video finds you all well. I've been noticing more and more old Rootsmagic names appearing in family historian groups with a natural curiosity obviously for the product. In this video I'm going to cover the direct import routine into Family Historian 708, show you some of the immediate benefits you're going to notice, and later I'm going to show you how to set up a Dropbox account and configure Family Historian to put your backup into that Dropbox account. That way you'll always have a backup copy off-site should the worst happen. Future videos are going to go into queries, media, charting, mapping, all in more detail because they're all webcasts of their own. If you want to get notifications of those videos when they arrive, then go down bottom right of your screen, click the subscribe button followed by the bell. Now Rootsmagic took the decision to remove the old user groups, and the wealth of information that was contained in those user groups went with it. It's a bit like burning down the library in my opinion, but they have pinned their hopes on Facebook, and for me Facebook is like ticker tape in the wind. It's very hard to find things afterwards. There's no structure to it, but that's what Rootsmagic have chosen. Here in the Family Historian support site you can see the details of the direct import routine from Rootsmagic. You read down through it, it'll go into details on people, names, families, facts, fact types. You'll see exactly where all of your data will go. Here's the Family Historian user group, which is a structured forum, easy to search and really has all of the answers. If it doesn't have the answer, there's many experts behind the scenes ready to give you that answer. You'll notice one of the topics is new wish list requests. Well, here is that wish list. Rootsmagic have done away with their wish list, again pinning their hopes on Facebook. If you're registered for the Family Historian user group and you read down through the wish list and you find something that gives you particular interest, you just click on it and here you get the chance to vote on it and comment on it. Very user interactive in my opinion. Family Historian comes with a sample project which has often been asked for in Rootsmagic and never been provided. So you can mess about with images here, you can mess about with facts. You'll get to know the program on data that's not important to you, but I'm going to close that. So I'm going to go to a new project and I'm going to say import from other family tree. So I've chosen this demonstrator file. Now this little checkbox, just what it says here, it'll copy any linked multimedia items into the new project folder. And it says recommended. I have a very good filing system. I have a folder structure which I want to maintain. So I'm going to uncheck that. Click OK. Now you're presented with a few options. So those are basically the default options. I'm going to click OK. I'm going to give it a name here. I'm going to make this default and click OK again. Now, Family Historian is going to go through about 18 processes here and I'm going to cut to the end. So the first thing you're going to notice in Family Historian is naturally a different look. Here you've got all of the issues. Samuel has 3 wives, children to 2 of those wives. It's all on one screen. There's no need to go switching spouses to get different focus. And Heritage 2021 does it the same way. Rootsmagic have this old-fashioned thing of needing to switch spouses to get different families in view. It's not necessary in Family Historian. So here to the right in the properties box we have all of the timeline sort of events for any sort of person that's highlighted on the screen. So the first thing I'm going to do is switch the scaling of the screen, make it more visible for some of my webcast viewers. At the moment I have this set in 85%, which is my preferred sort of scale. I'm going to go to 110. I want to just very quickly show you that although I've got Samuel Taylor in focus on the properties window, here's the birth of his father William and here's the date, and I'm going to change that date slightly. Now I want you to watch top left. I've got a highlight around it at the moment, and when I tab out of that it's immediately updated. This is the Family Historian Records window, and the first thing you're going to notice is that you've got marriage here, you've got marriage place, you've got spouse given name, spouse surname. These are all fields that I've set up for my use. We've got relationship here, which you can't have in Rootsmagic. We've got family as child, which is actually the parents of the person. Moving slightly further along, father's occupation, how would you ever get that in Rootsmagic? And then you have the father's name over here. So if I sort on relationship, I can see all the relationships here, including half relationships, which Rootsmagic doesn't calculate. Now I frequently see things in the Rootsmagic forums where relationships are not updating, and the advice is always to go and manually run set relationships. You don't have to do that in Family Historian. You can see here there's a checkbox if you wish. If you don't want your relationships automatically calculated, you can uncheck this box. I do, and as I enter data, this gets automatically updated. And you can also see there was one here for auto rotate images, which also shows up in the Rootsmagic forums. So those are all things that you're going to benefit from right away. To the right of the records window here, we have our named groups. The first thing you're going to notice about the named groups that all come in from Rootsmagic is you've got a count for them over here. You never had that in Rootsmagic, and a lot of people have asked for it. But here's a very important difference. This is the default layout. If I click on my Belfast Cemetery reconciliation, you see this is a different layout. So I've got the name, the birth, death, cemetery, and I can see that there's no caption or burial file name here. So that's all work that I need to be doing. If I click on the Diary census chase, you can see again completely different layout. Here I have the 1850 through to 1950 census, and I can see who's missing a census entry. Rootsmagic can't produce such a report. I'm not really sure if it's possible in the future. Now this is all data driven. There's no pretty pictures, but pretty pictures doesn't get research done. I want the data I want to be able to work on. Let me slide this out of view and let me put in a filter here. So I've filtered my results here looking for Sergeant or Thomas. So Serge, Tom, 1820, 1860, and here's all my possibles in the database. So this particular one on the top, I'm going to click on him, and I'm going to click on, I want all of his relationships. And here we are. I've zoomed away out of this because a lot of these are living people. So, and I don't want to disclose those, but you'll notice that there's some little red boxes here. I think there's only the 3. Yes, there's only the 3. Let me zoom in on this one. So you can see here it's background colored in red, but you can also see the little heart symbol down here. So the red boxes, if we go back to fit, the red boxes that you see here are people who died of either heart or cardiac disease. I say heart or cardiac because that was the condition that was put into the query, and we're not going to go into queries much in this webcast. I can double click on any one of these boxes, and here we go into the facts for that person. I can alter those. So just before I leave this screen, there's 2 things that I want to show you. First of all, on my facts, let me find it. There's a shared event. Now a whole lot of people on the Rootsmagic forum, I don't know why they're trying to discourage people from migrating. They always say shared events don't move to other software. Well, they do. I've moved them into Heritage, I've moved them into Family Historian. Here's one here. So here's all the people it's shared with, and I can reorder those if I want. I can move those up or move them down, which is another thing that's been recently asked for in Rootsmagic. Let me close this and go to notes. These are all of the notes to do with this individual, and I can double click and move into any one of them. Again, before I leave, this little cloud symbol up here, this means this window is undocked. I can move that window completely off to my second monitor and still continue to work away. Going back to talking about relationships, which is not automatic in Rootsmagic, you can see up here there's no direct relationship to Jackson Eagleson. I always say, when I see that, I always say not yet. They're not in this database for no reason. So let me quickly go to another much wished for thing in Rootsmagic. Over here we have, let's pick one that has both media and source. By the way, the media that shows up here, the indication of media that shows up here, that media can be attached to the fact, it can be attached to the source, and it can be attached to the citation. In Rootsmagic that's rather buried, but here you'll see it regardless of what it's attached to. So I've picked residence here. It has both media and source. And down here I'm going to go to copy fact, much wished for in Rootsmagic. And I can just paste that. I'm going to paste it a few times. And I've pasted that to the same person, but it can be pasted to any person. So deleting that, I'm going to just hit delete on the keyboard, confirm. So I'm going to delete this occupation Beetler just by mistake. Oops. Now, in Rootsmagic, I'm going to have to head up and find a backup. I'm going to have to do some clever sort of interrogation of the database to see what was done when. I'm going to have to merge some things. There's a lot of work's going to go into that. Family historian, I just go edit, undo occupation, edit, and there it comes back. And I can also, let's see what else I've done, undo residence address, undo. So I'm going back over the several things that I've done, and I can set the number of undo levels. Very, very useful. Rootsmagic say that can't be done, and that's a shame. One more thing that I wanted to do was media. So if you go to tools, external file links, this is frequently asked for. So see here, show broken links only. And now I have a full list of broken links, and I can work through and I can remap those to the database. Long asked for in Rootsmagic and never came. Another thing that came up on the Rootsmagic forum recently was the inability in Rootsmagic 8 to filter and sort the media gallery in a certain manner. I think that the user could do it in Rootsmagic 7, but they just couldn't do it in Rootsmagic 8. So here's Family Historian Media Gallery, for want of a better word. This left-hand column is the captions. This is the record ID, which is the media record. Here's the type, and I can sort by any of these columns. This one is format, the year of the media, how many times it's linked, and here's the file name on the right hand side. The other thing I'd just like to mention when I'm in here is these filters at the top. So this is all media. I'm going to change that to new unlinked media. Then you can have event fact media, you can have individual media, which is all of the photographs, although these particular ones should not be individual media, so I need to work through relinking those. Here's another thing that often pops up, is the ability to choose people from a group photograph. Here we have a group photograph, and in Rootsmagic, for profile pictures, you're going to need to cut up each one of those in an external editor and add them to your file. Now that's terribly long-winded, and I can also tell you that at the release of Rootsmagic 4 around 2008, 13 years ago, the provision to section media was added to the database, just never used. I call them the unfinished symphonies of Rootsmagic. So how do we link these people? Let's go to the media link tool here. When I put in Frank Owain, who was the senior, I can look down here, and here's all of his relatives. So let's have a look. Top left is Marie. Where is Marie? There's Marie there. So I just drag that over to there. And I'm going to add a frame link to Marie. And basically what I do is I just do that. And that's Marie done. Next person in is Bernice. Let's drag Bernice across. Add a frame link. So I finished that off with a webcam pause. So here's all the people that are linked now. And if I highlight each one of them, you can see the box showing up, where Stanley's there, Lena is front middle, Walter is front right. So they're all sectioned. I haven't had to cut up this photograph. I haven't had to sort of sit and edit in some external editor just to create a whole lot of extra images on my hard drive. That's it all done. If I go back to the focus window, here's the family. You can see all the little thumbnails down the side here. This sepia photograph is Frank. Frank had passed by the time that photograph was taken and wasn't in it. By the way, these little numbers, these are all web hints. Find my past, etc., etc. This Lena was the senior person in that photograph, and here she is here. If we double click on Lena, we see that not only the group photograph is there, but the little sectioned photograph that we choose just in that last exercise. Let's have a look at them on charts. Here's the family, and here's all the little sectioned photographs that we just chose in that linking exercise. So nice and simple. Another long outstanding Rootsmagic wish that just never came about. So the last remaining thing, and probably the main thing that made me migrate over to Family Historian, is the query power, and the ability to save queries was the main thing. Now this again was an undertaking by Bruce Busby back in 2008 when he said to be addressing this down the road a bit, but it really never happened. So if one shop doesn't have what you're looking for, you need to go to the shop next door. So I frequently see questions like, how do I find burial facts that don't have a photograph of the grave marker on them? How do I find individuals that don't have a profile picture attached to them? How do I find all of the Franks whose father was John, which is like this case? Well, in Rootsmagic you simply can't do that, but in Family Historian you can do all of those things. So here we are in the query window. So the query window, several tabs along the top here. This is where I enter the description for the query. This is where I define the columns for the report. And this is where I define the find criteria for the query. So I'm going to run this. It asks me for a part of a name. I'm putting in Carn, C-A-R-N. Carnmoney Cemetery is only a few miles away from where I live. I run it and there's the result. So I do have a photograph of this. It's obviously just not linked to the burial fact. I'll go off and do that now. Strengthens the database and makes everything correct. Again, you can't do that in Rootsmagic. It's often asked. So let's do the report drop down here. And these are all of my queries built in and custom queries. This one is often asked. This is my USA one. And when I run this, it'll ask me for part of a place name. I'm going to put in Pens for Pennsylvania, and here's all my work to be done in Pennsylvania. So here's another frequent request on Rootsmagic. Rootsmagic has shared events and you put the roles etc. into shared events, but it's absolutely no way of querying or reporting those shared events. Very simple query here. You can see the filter over here. I run it. It prompts me for a partial role match. I've chosen niece. And here's all of the nieces in my database. You can see here the principals, Harrison Gracie. The individual, the niece, is Maggie Archer. And I need to discover that relationship. That's come off a census report, as we can see here. So these are all work to be done. Here's a DNA blood relatives report showing the Y DNA, the mtDNA, the overlap X DNA, and the rough percentage that you should have as a match. While we're on the subject of DNA, here's a DNA chart. So let me zoom in on this section just to show you what there is there. So you've got blood relatives, you've got X DNA, William McKissick, 25%. The benefits of Family Historian just go on and on. I should have pointed out earlier, and you wouldn't notice normally, but on the sidebar here, all of these reports that I'm running and all of these charts that I'm bringing up, they're all being stacked down the left hand side here. Here's the media window that we left earlier on. Here's the DNA report. Here's the DNA chart that we just left. You can also work with named lists. So if I go down here, work with data, I can work with places, addresses, occupations, religions, groups, castes, national or tribal origins. And you can see fact witness sentences at the bottom there. So if I go to occupations, here's my list of occupations. I can go down and I can tell you that if I had boot manufacturer, boot fitting, boot fitter, but then I see it, but a single word. So, and if 14 people there, I can go out and see those people, click the where used button here. Current dialog will be closed and it will display in the query window. Let's go and do it. And here's all the people that are bootmakers. I can copy that and I can paste it directly into Excel. What could be simpler? All of the wishes of all of the years have all come together in Family Historian. Having said that, there's always things that can be improved. So if we go back to the focus window, what I want to show you here is one of the things that I'd used. Let me find it again. Record flags. So the little flag that showed people with the heart attacks on the charts, that was a record flag. There's a lot more features I could go over, but this video is just going to run on and run on and run on, and there's plenty more videos to come. So make sure you subscribe and you'll get notifications as regards those. The one last thing that I've found very important and powerful is automatic citations. So what you do here is you select your source, but if you say you come home with a census return, everything that you enter from that census return is going to be from the one source. So it's logical that all of those events, rather than you having to copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste, they all stem from that one report. So you turn this on, and when you're finished entering your data, you turn it off. That was covered in my video on productivity, and I'll link out to that at the end of this video. Now if you follow my referral link that I've given you, you'll arrive on this Dropbox page. Using the referral link will give me an extra 250 megabytes, which treat it like a thank you. I'm very grateful for it. But it'll also give you an extra 250 megabytes. So you've been invited to try Dropbox. Fill in your details, name, email address, and select a password. Agree the terms and conditions and sign up. So the first thing you'll notice is these all appear to be paid plans, these three here. But look down the bottom here, continue with 2 GB Dropbox basic plan. You click on that, answer some simple questions, and this is the important bit, download Dropbox. Many people try and do it straight to the cloud. If you download Dropbox, you're going to get Dropbox folders on your local machine on your hard drive, and that's where you want to be backing up to. Rather than chasing after programs like Rootsmagic or other programs trying to interface with Dropbox, let Dropbox do all that work in the background. It's the best way. So click the download button. Choose Save File. So then when you go to your Downloads folder, you'll see the Dropbox installer exe. Now I've already got Dropbox installed, so I'm not going to do that. But once you install it, in your Documents folder, you'll now find that you have a Dropbox folder. Now if you're only starting out, you're going to have a couple of basic folders that they give you, which is just to explain how Dropbox works or whatever. But on your hard drive, on your actual computer, whether it's laptop or whatever, you can add folders here, and those folders will then appear in Dropbox. So if you go to Dropbox, you'll get a little sort of icon down here. Go to your account, Preferences. In Preferences, move to the Backups tab, and down here you'll see Screenshots. It says Share Screenshots using Dropbox. Check that box. And all you have to do now is say, remember, watch here where it says screenshots. I've got it highlighted. To the left, you're going to see a little sync icon appear. So all I have to do now to capture this screen is hit the print screen button on my computer. There we are, and there's the little sync icon. So I've just captured this screen, and it's also went to the cloud. So do install Dropbox. You'll get massive benefits from it. And that doesn't stop you from using OneDrive, Google Drive, or any other cloud service. You could just keep Dropbox just for your genealogy research. So if you're all done signing up and installing Dropbox, if you go to your computer, I should mention I've got Dropbox installed on my laptop computer and my desktop. The Dropbox folder is identical as long as I have an online connection. So go to your folders, and in your Documents folder you should find a Dropbox folder. Now these are all my folders. You can create your own set of folders, but you can see the Family Historian backups here, and you can see I have 2 backup project files. If I access them on my laptop, then I've got exactly the same 2 backup files. So all you need to do in Family Historian is go Tools, Preferences, go down to Backup, and here select your backup folder, whatever your path is and whatever you've called your backup folder. You don't have to call it the same as mine. Once you've done that, click OK. I'm going to move Family Historian to a side screen, and I'm going to zoom right in on this folder because I want you to see the little blue synchronization icon that will appear when you're being synced to the cloud. The first thing Family Historian or any program will do is it will back up to the local drive on your computer. Dropbox in the background will then sync that with the cloud. This will happen pretty quickly, but the golden rule is just don't back up and then pull the plug on your computer before the backup completes. So here we are, maximum zoom on that folder, and what I'm going to do is Family Historian's be moved off this side screen, and I'm going to click the backup button. Watch the little icon, watch the sync happen. Once the blue icon goes green, then it's all synced to the cloud. You're all ready for a new program, lots of powers to it, and you're also ready to back up to Dropbox. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope you've got something from it. What I would advise probably is do a bit of reading, watch a few videos on Family Historian, and then take the free trial. Very first time I took the free trial, I didn't have time to devote to the program, and before I knew it, the free trial was up and game was over. I mentioned queries earlier on. If you like the query that I have there, I can send that in an email to anyone. So there's a community thing in Family Historian. It's a bit like Tom Holden's excellent sort of SQL sort of scripts. They can be shared between users. The problem is that Rootsmagic depends on them. So anyway, if you're thinking about a new home for your research and you're considering family historian, then I'll see you again in the future. Thanks for watching, and check out these other videos if you want to see more on the comparison between family historian and Rootsmagic.